Welcome to Skytech-Lens. For decades, travel between the US and Canada was routine, families, business, and tourists crossing the border with ease. But now, that flow has nearly stopped. Travel is down by over a third, and flight bookings have plunged by 75% in just months. Airports that once buzzed with life now sit eerily quiet, and airlines are scrambling to adapt. This isn't just about numbers, it's about millions of people rethinking travel, breaking habits built over generations. The trust that made cross-border trips easy has been shaken, and the consequences are rippling through both economies. So, what's behind this seismic shift? Let's uncover the reality shaking America's skies. For decades, Air Canada was more than just an airline. It was the main bridge between the US and Canada, connecting families, executives, and tourists across the border with ease. The airline was a symbol of the close relationship between the two countries, making travel feel effortless and familiar. But now, that bridge is crumbling. American travelers have all but disappeared, and bookings have plummeted. Once busy terminals now echo with emptiness, and the familiar bustle of cross-border flights has faded into silence. This isn't a seasonal dip, it's a fundamental change. The numbers tell a stark story. Passenger volumes have dropped to historic lows, and the recovery that many hoped for simply hasn't materialized. The reasons are complex and deeply intertwined. Unfavorable exchange rates make every dollar spent in Canada feel heavier for Americans. Soaring costs for hotels, restaurants, and attractions have made trips less appealing, while new border hassles, like longer wait times and stricter documentation, add layers of frustration. What was once a seamless journey now feels like a hassle, and the perception of Canada as an easy getaway has faded. For many, the spontaneity of a quick trip north is gone, replaced by uncertainty and inconvenience. Air Canada is being forced to pivot. The US market is no longer a sure thing, so the airline is expanding into Europe, the Caribbean, and South America, searching for new revenue streams. This means opening new routes, building partnerships, and rethinking what it means to be Canada's flag carrier. This shift is massive. Air Canada is investing in new aircraft and marketing to attract a different kind of traveler, trying to become a global carrier instead of a North American one. The airline is betting big on international growth, hoping to offset the losses from its traditional cross-border business. The impact is felt everywhere. Canadian hotels and restaurants are struggling without American visitors, and small businesses face an uncertain future. Tourism-dependent towns are especially hard hit, with local economies suffering from the sudden drop in guests. In the US, reduced connectivity hurts cross-border trade and weakens cultural ties. Businesses that relied on easy access to Canadian markets are feeling the pinch, and communities on both sides of the border are growing more isolated. Fewer Americans visiting Canada means less shared understanding and goodwill. The loss goes beyond economics. It's about the fading of a unique relationship built on decades of travel, exchange, and friendship. Air Canada's struggle is a warning. Decades of travel habits can unravel quickly when trust and value disappear. The airline's challenges are a reflection of broader shifts in how people see cross-border travel. The airline's future, and the health of countless communities, now depends on whether this broken connection can ever be repaired. The question remains, can Air Canada and the country rebuild the trust and convenience that once made the border feel invisible? Delta Airlines, once a symbol of reliability and strength, has long been a cornerstone of the North American travel experience. For decades, it set the standard for service, efficiency, and global reach, connecting millions of passengers to destinations around the world. But now, the airline is facing a new reality. Empty seats and declining demand, especially on routes that once served Canadian travelers. Airports that used to buzz with activity are now eerily quiet, and the ripple effects are being felt across the network. The sharp drop in Canadian tourism is hitting Delta's bottom line hard, creating a revenue gap that's proving difficult to fill. The numbers tell a sobering story. Profits are down, and the pressure is mounting. But it's not just about the money, it's about trust and perception. Service cutbacks, delayed flights, and operational issues are eroding the brand's once sterling reputation, leaving loyal customers frustrated and uncertain. As financial losses mount, Delta is forced to make tough decisions and cut costs wherever possible. But every cut, from reduced amenities to fewer staff, risks further alienating its core customers and damaging the brand's image. The airline's premium image, once a major draw for business travelers and frequent flyers, is slipping away. Each reduction in service makes it harder to win back the loyalty that took years to build. broader economic pressures only compound the problem. Inflation, rising costs, and global uncertainty are keeping both Canadians and Americans at home, softening demand across the board and making recovery even more challenging. Delta's struggle is more than just a company's crisis, it's a warning for the entire airline industry. If a giant like Delta is stumbling, it signals that no airline is truly safe from these headwinds. The sight of half-empty planes and deserted gates is a stark symbol of lost confidence in the travel ecosystem, and a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change. Travelers are voting with their wallets, seeking better value and reliability elsewhere. The old value proposition that once set Delta apart no longer resonates in today's market. Delta's fight to regain altitude is a battle the whole industry is watching closely. The outcome will shape not just Delta's future but the future of air travel itself. Southwest Airlines was once the champion of affordable, friendly travel for American families. Bags fly free wasn't just a slogan, it was a promise. But now that promise feels broken. Ticket prices have risen, flexibility has shrunk, and customers feel betrayed. The middle class that once relied on Southwest is being squeezed by stagnant wages and inflation, making even budget travel a stretch. For many, the loss of affordable flights means losing out on family vacations and cherished memories. Internally, Southwest faces rising costs and morale issues. The 2022 holiday meltdown exposed deeper problems in its operations. Without its unique perks, Southwest is just another airline. No longer the clear budget leader, but not a full-service carrier either. The airline is at a crossroads: raise prices or stay true to its roots. Either choice risks alienating its core customers. Southwest's story is a reflection of the broader struggles of the American middle class and the fading promise of accessible travel. Spirit and Frontier built their brands on ultra-low fares, charging for every extra. But now, base fares aren't as cheap, and fees have exploded, making budget tickets as expensive as traditional airlines. Passengers feel tricked by hidden costs, turning what was once a bargain into a stressful, adversarial experience. The model has collapsed under inflation and customer frustration. The failed Spirit-JetBlue merger was a desperate attempt to survive, but now both airlines are left struggling in a market that no longer wants what they offer. The lesson? There's a limit to how much you can strip away from the travel experience before customers walk away. Spirit and Frontier are bleeding cash, their reputations in tatters, and their futures uncertain. The dream of cheap flights has become a frustrating, expensive nightmare for working-class Americans. The pain isn't limited to cross-border or budget airlines. Even the most established names in the industry are feeling the pressure as the landscape of air travel shifts beneath their feet. Major players like American Airlines and JetBlue are also feeling the squeeze. Once considered reliable pillars of the industry, they now find themselves caught in a tightening vice between low-cost upstarts and luxury international carriers. Years of shrinking seats, rising fares, and now safety concerns have eroded public trust. Passengers are increasingly frustrated by the lack of comfort and the ever-growing costs, making them question whether flying is worth the hassle. Incidents like the Alaska Airlines door plug failure have shaken confidence in the industry's safety standards. Each headline about a mishap or near miss only deepens the sense of unease among travelers, who wonder if airlines are cutting corners to save money. American Airlines is seen as too big and impersonal, while JetBlue has lost its unique identity trying to compete with both giants and budget carriers. The distinctiveness that once set JetBlue apart has faded, leaving loyal customers confused about what the airline stands for. The failed Spirit merger left JetBlue adrift, with no clear path forward. Instead of gaining ground, JetBlue now faces uncertainty about its future, struggling to define its place in a crowded market. Demand is shrinking across the board. Flights that were once packed are now flying half-empty, and airlines are forced to cut back on routes and frequencies. International travelers are staying away, and domestic travelers are postponing trips. Economic uncertainty, safety fears, and changing work habits have all contributed to a dramatic slowdown in bookings. The revenge travel boom is over, replaced by caution and cutbacks. People are rethinking their priorities, choosing road trips or staycations over expensive flights, and airlines are feeling the impact. Airlines in the middle, like American and JetBlue, are stuck. They're too big to be nimble but not big enough to dominate, and their traditional advantages are slipping away. They can't compete on price with budget carriers or on luxury with global giants. The middle ground they once occupied is disappearing, leaving them with fewer options and more competition than ever. Passengers are polarized. Some pay more for reliability, others simply stop flying. Many are turning to alternative forms of travel or cutting back on trips altogether, further squeezing the airlines caught in the middle. The industry's middle class is being hollowed out, and every airline is forced to make tough choices about service, routes, and investment. The pressure to cut costs while maintaining safety and reliability is greater than ever. The foundation of public trust is crumbling, threatening the viability of every airline in the sky. If the hollowing out continues, the future of air travel could look very different than what we know today. Empty airports and half-full planes aren't just a blip. They're signs of a deep shift in travel. The old rules of the airline industry no longer apply. Economic pressure, broken trust, and safety fears have created a perfect storm. The social contract between airlines and passengers is broken. High costs and frustrating experiences have replaced the promise of affordable, reliable travel. This isn't just a boycott, it's a vote of no confidence in the system. The future of American aviation depends on whether airlines can rebuild trust and offer real value. Will flying become a luxury again? Or can the industry adapt? The skies have quieted and the industry is holding its breath. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.